Hello, welcome back to yet another Film Team 6 commentary video. Today we are going to be doing the 2024 action thriller horror film High Impact. I, once again, am Mac Lacson, the writer, director, DP, editor, star, VFX artist, and armorer of this movie that you are watching right now. And I'm joined by...
I'm Dylan Lacson, and I'm pretty much all those things, just maybe not credited as all those things. But yes, I am. I think I pretty much have an equal hand in definitely in directing, probably not so much in editing, and definitely in writing.
So, as you saw with that gun freeze frame transition to the very song that we are ripping off from, this is a rip-off of the opening titles to William Friedkin's 1985 action film To Live and Die in L.A.
Yeah, I mean, well, this movie in general is sort of all of our movies are love letters
Rip-off
to some sort of subgenre. So this one in particular is kind of like a 70s, 80s action crime thrillers. So think Michael Mann, Sam Peckinpah, William Friedkin are by far the biggest influences. A little bit of John Carpenter too. Yeah,
because of course, because it's us, it's got to have a horror theme to it.
Yeah. Like as we've said in our other commentaries, like no matter what genre we are making, action, thriller, drama, romantic comedy, musical, there will always, always be an underlying sense of terror throughout. Yeah. So here we are getting a look at the beautiful cityscape. Okay, we're going to censor that part. We're going to dub in another location over there.
Anyways, interesting fact about that whole opening sequence, it's actually supposed to be the opening titles to the Punisher fan film on Elboy Carson, but
The Punisher to Hell and Back.
yeah, but that's a whole other story that I don't want to get into over here. Anyways, we can say that for the actual Punisher.
Okay, so straight up the bat. So a lot of this film was not a lot, but like a good chunk of this movie was shot without my supervision. Basically, anytime you see something illogical happen, like okay, so this dude is like this badass hitman trying to sneak in this house, stealth mode. Oh shoot, that's right. Okay, because the original version of this, which was shot without me, he was supposed to pull out his pistol and kind of like contemplate shooting off the locks in this house that he is supposed to be sneaking into.
To be fair, it's not trying to portray me as this kind of badass hitman because we're all kind of incompetent fools.
Yeah, but that's game. Whatever. Anyways, I guess we should talk about how this movie was made.
Right.
So we've all, it kind of depends on like what phase of cinema we're going through. So we were going through our Michael Mann, Sam Peckinpah phase,
and
just gritty 70s, 80s action movies, which we initially tried kind of manifesting when we collaborated with the Carson brothers for their Punisher fan film, but due to creative conflicts and
that's
a bunch of creative conflicts, we weren't able to kind of fully realize that. So this was kind of like our answer to that. And for a while, that movie basically existed in limbo. It was kind of like nobody wanted to edit it, nobody wanted to publish it, nobody wanted to upload it. So just all this like footage was just kind of untouched and just left floating in limbo for several months. So within those few months, Mac over here wanted to kind of like let's do our own version, but like a smaller, more smaller, more restrained, more gritty and realistic version of it. And basically, because as usual, we only had like 4 dudes around. So
it's the exact same cast as House of Forgotten Souls.
We only had the exact same cast as Casa. So 4 dudes. So we decided to just kind of make this just feel like what would happen if some hitman just walked into my house and just decided to murder 3 people. We can already see it from this kind of opening fight over here. There's this kind of like awkward clumsiness. That's kind of something we try to capture with all of our films, like the kind of like awkward, like uncinematic violence,
which I think
from incompetent characters.
We still could have done better.
Because I think the scene's really diminished by the fact that we couldn't break anything.
Yeah,
this is not our house. These aren't our, our glassware. We couldn't break anything. So we did as much as we can without legitimately wrecking the kitchen, which is kind of a shame because I don't know. I think that kind of like diminishes the realism of it. And so this character over here, played by me, this coked up thug over here, initially played by David Young.
World renowned.
David Young. So basically, this movie was shot. I was off in university. Mac and his friends had about 2 weeks to film, and bit before I arrived for Christmas break. So I was off for about 2 weeks. He shot it. My character over here played by David Young. So he was available for what, 1 day, 2 days? How many days did he film?
1 day.
1 day.
2 hours.
And then he just never popped up again. Not his fault. Not his fault. He was busy.
He actually has a life unlike us.
He has a life outside of film, unlike the four of us. So, 2 weeks later, I fly in. We reshoot all of his scenes with me this time. So this over here, we can kind of see our peck and paw inspire the way it kind of cuts back and forth between like slow motion, regular motion over there. Once again, with the kind of like the awkward, clumsy, realistic violence over here. Everyone's just kind of an incompetent shot, even at a generally close range.
Oh, and a fun fact, this is actually taken from the ending to the feature-length John Wick.
Get over it.
But it's true.
That's his cinematic white whale. The one that got away. John Wick. His 2.5 hour John Wick Chapter 3 epic.
It's true. It's literally taken from that script.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I think the scenario is, but the dialogue is all mine. Which, yeah, not our strongest movie, story-wise, I think we're willing to admit. This is more of just an exercise in style and vibes. It's, as Patrick Williams would call it, a vibes movie. The dialogue, it's all pretty perfunctory. It's not our strongest dialogue. I think we were just trying to capture like the kind of like the stoic, kind of like macho dialogue that you would see in like a Sam Peckinpah or a John Woo movie. It's a real stunt, everybody.
Yeah, you definitely jumped off that roof.
I definitely jumped off that roof and didn't back out like a little bitch. So we have a very questionable moment here where Mac is just shooting through straight concrete.
It can penetrate.
Not like a 12-inch thick slab of concrete.
It can.
Boom. Despite this being done through a CGI plugin, I think that was probably the most visceral, kind of impactful, high impactful moment of violence in the movie. And yes, that guy, that head you briefly see was played by me as well.
Because we don't have any people.
Yes. So, all the VFX here were done by Mac. Did all the muzzle flashes here. What's your advice to filmmakers, I guess, when it comes to kind of portraying guns, to amateur filmmakers for portraying guns? And
I mean, it depends
flashes.
on the kind of movie, because, I mean, for a movie like this, which is really emphasizing the realism of it, I want for it to be as realistic as possible, with it being loud and scary and having smoke be everywhere. But I mean, if it's like a movie that doesn't necessarily emphasize the veracity of gunfights, or like doesn't try to be too realistic, like it's a more fun action movie, then I don't have any qualms with how you portray them.
So you're basically talking about the John Wick movies?
Yes.
Because clearly they don't emphasize a whole lot of realism into their...
I mean, if you're like trying to do a Michael Mann-esque thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, for all four movies, yeah, they usually want to portray guns in a realistic light, so that's why they're always super loud and
our aim, believe it or not, our aim is always to de-glamorize violence, and that's why gunfights and fistfights and whatnot are always portrayed as deliberately clumsy and awkward. Boom, and here we get our glorious, practical blood squibs. This is probably our bloodiest, goopiest, goriest, maybe not gore, but it is our bloodiest movie for sure, in true Bloody Sam fashion.
Why don't you go into detail about how we make our blood? And
yes,
squibs?
So our consistent recipe, our Krabby Patty secret formula here, is that we use milk with red food coloring, and we kind of tie that up in a water balloon, preferably a red water balloon, or a water balloon that's like the same color as the shirt that the stunt actor's wearing. And I mean, pretty obvious through editing, we just kind of throw it on them and just cut at the right moment where it blows up in their chest like that. Not, I mean, as people who watch a lot of videos of shootouts, they're not especially realistic per se. We're not okay. That's the one part where I guess we're kind of sensationalizing it. I guess we are kind of, but sort of an homage, as a loving homage to specifically Peckinpah and John Woo, I think.
He's losing his voice.
Yeah, sorry, this is the third commentary of the night.
Yeah, one of my, I think, something that, one aspect that.
Ooh, that's not a good gore effect over there.
One aspect that I feel could have been done better is, all the blood stuff. Because in terms, if I just want, again, like if I just wanted to make it like super realistic and really declamorize it, then. Yeah, I don't think I should have done.
But
big blood scripts with slow mo.
We're not aiming. And at the time, you wanted to do a Peckinpah Man movie, and also we're not aiming to make like a pseudo snuff movie over here. I think that was like a pretty damn well shot. Like the way it was shot made it very tense. Despite like if you shoot it in a wide shot, it would just be a pretty lame like two guys standing like 5 feet apart. But I think the way we kind of stress it with like the POV shot and the close-ups of the fingers on the trigger, prolonging the tension. I think that was done pretty well. Also, Jamie falling over the chair was not scripted. That actually happened on accident.
He just meant to jump over, but
yeah, we just stuck with that. Boom, and that's real smoke. That was a real smoke.
That's real shotgun.
Real shotgun. Yeah. Oh, what's this music listening to right now? Because most of the movie is very sparse in its using music, but now as like shit's hitting the fan. We're getting these very eerie, tense John Carpenter-like song. Where's this music from?
Manhunt, the game. Manhunt 2, actually, which is, a band game in some places.
But good soundtrack, I assume.
It's very also heavily influenced by 80s grimy grindhouse.
But it's a bad game, you say?
Band.
Oh, I thought you said bad.
Mixed.
This whole sequence over here, I think, is probably my proudest. Like, action-wise, probably the best action sequence. And it's because of how lame it is. Because it's just two dudes like who are terrible shots, just like shooting through like this one car, and the way Jamie dies is just incredibly unceremonious.
Well, not technically die.
Well, okay, the way he finally gets, I guess, incapacitated. But those like 20 seconds of them kind of like circling around the car, I think you'd probably agree. As someone, you said like you wish we made like a somehow even more grounded version of this. I think that over there, right, is kind of what you're aiming for. Yeah. That's because that's something that you would see like in a real like cop shootout or something.
Yeah, I guess, but
and also like with the natural lighting of like the car and the brake lights and everything. And here we have a pretty random reference to In Cold Blood. In Cold Blood, one of my favorite true crime books, one of my favorite true crime movies. That's our main. We don't even know if he is the protagonist or the antagonist of this story. Yeah. It almost kind of switches halfway through.
That's also kind of the point I was trying to do with this movie, was like also to declamorize the whole hitman assassin things. In this movie, I'm kind of like the slasher villain.
He goes from John Wick to like Jason Voorhees, basically. And we get our more gratuitous blood squid porn, and a very first for Film Team 6. No end credits, because we already wasted like 2 minutes with their opening credits. Boom.
This is hopefully the start into my phase of writing where I make scripts where you don't know who to root for. Mm-hmm. Everybody just kind of sucks.
Well, that's the true world of neo-noir and Peckinpah. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was High Impact. Is there anything else you'd like to get out before we sign off?
Shantic 3 feature length coming whenever. All right.
Yeah, that's it. All
Peace
right.
out.